Week 11 of the fantasy football season. Here's a few kickers I dropped this week. The first guy, Brett Maher of the Dallas Cowboys. So Brett Maher, he got off to a great start early in the season, but this Cowboy team has been scoring more touchdowns, and the opportunities really haven't been there for Maher as well. So the last few weeks here for him, Week 6 at Philly, 5 fantasy points. Week 7 versus Detroit, 5 fantasy points. And Week 8 versus Chicago, 7. And Week 10 at Green Bay, 4. So he has failed to reach double-digit fantasy points since Week 5 here is Brett Maher. And this Cowboy team, like I said, they're scoring more touchdowns, going for it more on fourth down as well. And this week here with a mediocre matchup with the Minnesota Vikings. I know an indoor game and all, he's still a guy I can't trust. And he's a kicker I would drop this week, still owned the 52% of fantasy leagues. And that guy's Matt Gay of Los Angeles Rams. So Matt Gay and this Ram team, they really haven't gotten the red zone a lot or scored the football a lot, even to give Matt Gay opportunities. So the last few weeks here for Gay, Week 8 versus San Francisco 2, Week 9 at Tampa 6, Week 10 versus Arizona 5, and this week here on paper, I know they got a good matchup on the Saints that give up the second most fantasy points to kickers on the season. But now with Cooper Kupp out a while, I don't know how this offense is really going to generate with a poor offensive line and not much of a running game. And we don't even know if Matthew Stafford is going to play in this game as well. So right here with a lot of factors against Matt Gay in this Ram offense. This week here, I think there's better options on the waiver wire. And he's definitely a kicker I would drop this week, owned in 70% of fantasy leagues. And the third and final kicker I look to drop is Jake Elliott of the Philadelphia Eagles. So Jake Elliott still owned the 52% of fantasy leagues. And he's another guy on an offense that just scores too many touchdowns, and he's not getting many opportunities. The last few games here for him, Week 8 versus Pittsburgh 5, Week 9 at Houston 3, and Week 10 versus the Commanders 3 fantasy points. So right now it's pretty much extra points or short distance kicks here. Week 11, a good matchup indoors in Indianapolis. That gives up the 16th most fantasy points to kickers on the season. But right now, he's not getting opportunities. Like I said, only extra points Jake Elliott is getting. And he's still owned surprisingly in 52% of fantasy leagues. So that's a few kickers I look to drop here for Week 11 of the fantasy football season.